Any other questions? Okay. So we will, all right, we're just going to dive right in. And what we're going to be, so we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about 3 of the requirements. So the first one we're going to be talking about is the graduation writing assessment requirement, also referred to as the GWAR. We'll have an activity with that. Then we'll be covering American institutions, and then we'll be talking about the foreign language requirement. So if we go ahead and turn to page 89, we're looking at pages 89 and 90. So this is the second requirement of the 9, and this is the GWAR. So the GWAR requires students to show competency in writing at the upper division level. So this is specific to students entering into junior standing, so our transfer students. Will be the students that this is going to be most relevant for at new student orientation. For freshmen, this is not a requirement they're going to have to worry about until they're entering into junior standing. So what does that mean, entering into junior standing? How many units? 60 units, perfect. So to determine how the students are going to satisfy the GWAR, they need to take an exam, and that exam is referred to as the Writing Placement Assessment, or the WPA. So the GWAR is the requirement, the WPA is the exam. And the score on the exam determines how to fulfill the requirement. So the WPA is a 2-hour exam, and it's offered by our test office. Continuing students will take the WPA when they are completing 60 units, or they must take in the semester immediately following achieving 60 units. Okay? Our transfer students must take the WPA their first semester. So they are eligible to take the exam as soon as they've received an offer of admissions, but at the very latest they must take it sometime during the first semester at SDSU. If they fail to do so, they will not be allowed to register for spring. Now with early registration, or our new registration timetable, that means that the student must take the test by the last test date offered prior to registration opening in April. So typically that's going to be sometime mid-March. It takes about 2 weeks for the scores to go into the system. So if the student waits until the April exam, they won't be able to register because they won't have a test score in the system. So it's really important for our transfer students to remind them they must take the WPA during their first semester, and we recommend they take it as early as possible. Okay. So once a student has taken the WPA, the score and the major will dictate how that student is going to fulfill the GWAR. As far as the WPA, a student can take it up to 2 times within their time frame. So for a continuing student, the time frame is earning 60 units or immediately following earning 60 units. The timeline for transfer is their first semester. Okay, so on your handouts you should see a WPA score chart. Does everyone see that? Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. So this chart tells us what the corresponding scores will mean for the writing courses. So if the score is 6 or lower, the student needs to take a total of 2 classes. So the first one is required, and that course is either going to be RWS 280 or Linguistics 281 or RWS 281. The 281s are for international students, the 280s are for domestic students. So that first lower division is a required registration course, so it will have enforced registration. So the student can't drop the course, they can only substitute the course. So after passing that course with a C or better, then the student can enroll in one of the approved upper division writing courses. So upper division writing courses do not have required registration. Those can be taken any time before graduation. And they also must earn a C or better in order to qualify. So the list of approved courses is on page 90. And the student needs to check in their major section in the catalog to see if they have a specific writing course that they need to take. If a student does not have a specific writing course they need to take based on their major, the most common upper division writing course is RWS 305W. That's simply because we offer the most sections of it every single semester, and oftentimes it's also offered online. So if a student doesn't have a specific writing course, that's the most common one taken, but the student needs to be aware if they do have a specific writing course and take that one instead. If a student scores an 8 or a 9, if a student scores an 8, there is no 9, then they need one approved upper division writing course. So again, they need to check if they have a specific upper division writing course required by their major. And then if not, they can take any of the approved upper division writing course. Some of those on those lists are only open to certain majors. Some of them have prerequisites, so the student has to be aware of that as well. Okay. So as an example, if you look at that approved list, English 306W is only for liberal studies majors. And Econ 449W, if you looked up that course, you would see that has additional prerequisites of at least 12 units of Econ before you can take that writing course. If the student scores a 10, no course is needed unless upper division writing course is required by the major. So if a student scores a 10 on the WPA, they don't need to take an additional writing course unless the major requires a specific upper division writing, regardless of their score. Does that make sense? Yes.
So if you get a 10, so if it's required by your major, you still have to take the WPA, right?
Every student has to take the WPA, yeah. Yeah, the exam is a requirement of every student. Thank you, yes.
And how long did you say it takes for the scores to get back?
About 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
So if they're in a major where they are required to take an upper division writing and they get an 8, they have to take a different class than what their major requires them to fulfill it? Or can they just take their major required class?
If they score an 8, they're going to they can choose from the approved list unless their major requires a specific writing course.
Okay.
And when majors require specific writing courses, those are approved. They're already pre-approved. They're not in addition to. Any other questions on that? Yes.
If a student gets an 8 before they register for classes, and then they have to register, but then after they register, they take it again and they get a 10, can they drop the class? Can they they have to be enrolled in one because?
No, the upper division writing doesn't have enforced registration.
Okay.
So if they wanted to wait and retake it during their timeline, they could do that.
Okay, as long as they did take it at least once before the registration.
I want to make sure I understand the question.
Yes.
So if a student has taken it and they're at orientation,
I'm thinking mostly for myself. Let's say I take the WPA, I get an 8, and then do I have to register for a course for spring, or can I just ignore that, get a 10 the next time and not have to register for anything?
okay, first of all, you can only take it twice within your timeline. So if it's past your timeline, you can't take it again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you have over 60 units earned and you take it, your timeline is that semester. So if you're going to repeat it, you have to repeat it within that semester. So let's think more though in the context of working with students at orientation. So if a transfer student has already taken the WPA, because they are eligible to take it once they get an offer of admissions, regardless of their score, their timeline isn't until their first semester. So even if they scored a 6, they don't have to register for that lower division writing course in the fall because that's not their timeline. Their timeline is to take it some time in the fall. So if they scored an 8 too, or a 10 or whatever, and maybe they have a required, regardless of the score, they don't have to take it in the fall. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Yes.
If someone's transferring from an other four-year university and they have like a writing placement test? Does that relate at all?
No, it's
They have to
specific
retake
to
it here.
SDSU.
Okay.
Yes.
Even if it's in the CSU system?
That's gonna very rarely happen. When you do see that happen, a series of things had to have happened. They can't just have taken the test. They actually had to have cleared the writing altogether. And if you run into a situation like that, that's a great example of when you'd come to either get me or one of my colleagues. Yes?
So to take the WPA, it has to be in the semester where you hit 60 units or more?
So a continuing student
Yeah.
can take the WPA when they're earning 60 units, or they must take the WPA the term immediately following earning 60 units.
Okay.
Transfer students must take the WPA their first semester.
Okay. And there's no way to like, so you can't take it if you hit 59. I know I'm trying to like,
No.
but okay.
No, you have to be earning 60 units in order to take the WPA. The system won't let you register for it.
It's
Yes.
so annoying.
So if you have to take it, if you don't take it in the semester, you earn 60 units, you take it, because you have to take it the immediate following term.
If you're a continuing
If
student,
you're a
yes.
continuing student, what, does the summer semester count as that next term?
No.
No. Okay.
No, it would be the fall. No, we don't count summer in when we're talking about those kind of counts.
Okay.
Yes.
So for early registration, though, technically, so the absolute last day you take the WPA before registration is March like 15, 16?
I'm not sure the exact date, that would be on the test office website, but in order to ensure that you have registration available to you, you wanna take it by that last March date to ensure you have the 2 weeks to get that scoring.
So if the score doesn't come in by that registration?
Or they wait and they don't take it till April, then they can't register in April
At all?
at all. Yeah, so it's just really important to underline to transfer students that they need to remember to take the WPA their first semester. Okay, so we're actually gonna go on a 5-minute break and we're gonna try to set up the PowerPoint. So if everyone could be back at